Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report, where we are recapping the week's nerdy news from 2023 to 2024, or 25, or 26, or 27, and everywhere in between. You'll get that reference coming up shortly. My name is Mike Gibson. With me as always, Steve Heller. What's up, Steve?
Well, what's up is that we actually saw our first movie together.
Our first movie together.
Well, for the podcast, that is.
Correct. We went to see The Flash together.
Yeah.
With another mutual friend. Shout out to Dave Pawinski. And if you want to hear us talk about it, we just recorded a 40-minute reaction and review to The Flash.
Right. When we started that reaction, it was not supposed to be a 40-minute reaction, but
no,
we had thoughts, apparently.
We had a lot of thoughts. It starts off as a non-spoilery review and then switches over to spoilers. So you can listen to maybe the first few minutes if you want to not get anything spoiled, but want to hear our thoughts. I mean, super general bird's eye thoughts. I loved it. Steve liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's worth seeing. It's good, and it's worth going to see. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can check out that. Should be in your feed if you haven't heard it yet. And starting the episode proper here on a sad note. And fortunately, I felt like for a while we were doing these a lot, and it's been a while since we've had to do an RIP.
Yep.
But this is a big one for the comic book community. Legendary comic book artist John Romita Sr. has passed away at the age of 93. Nothing happened. He just is an old guy. Passed away in his sleep. Was announced by his son, John Romita Jr. He was John Romita Sr. His contribution to comic books really can't be overstated.
No,
I don't think
it's absolutely like there's no possible way to overstate what he did for.
Yeah,
like he took over for Ditko on Spider-Man.
Yep.
And
second artist to ever draw Spider-Man, the monthly or the book, the mainline Spider-Man book. There's only one back then. He was on Daredevil for a long time, and they moved him over to Spider-Man after Steve Ditko left the book. I read a great partial snippet of an interview with John Romita Sr. that just made it sound like he didn't want to leave Daredevil, and Marvel made him because they needed an artist on Spider-Man. And he went on to Spider-Man and did all this legendary work. But the quote was like, I kind of wanted to stay on Daredevil. I really liked Daredevil, and I wanted to make Daredevil like equivalent to Spider-Man. I wanted that book to be selling as good as Spider-Man, and they took me off Daredevil, and Spider-Man was fine, but I like drawing Daredevil. Which is funny because he's so known for his Spider-Man work. And he's done so many seminal runs, Spider-Man No More and stuff like that. We're all John Romita Sr.
He actually started on Cap.
What's that?
He actually started with Marvel on Cap.
Oh, did he really?
Yep, on the Captain America runs.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yep.
Just the co-creator of a lot of characters, including someone named Wolverine, Punisher, and Mary Jane Watson.
And also Luke Cage.
And Luke Cage, that's right, as well. So... R.I.P. John Romita Sr. He's been long retired, but
but still, like there's few that influence the industry like he did.
Yeah, and his son, no slouch in the comic book industry as well, and blessed with a long life at the age of 93. So rest in peace, John Romita Sr. Do have a very small update on the WGA strike, and this kind of leads into our Marvel stuff, also our DC stuff as well. Both two highly anticipated shows, Daredevil Born Again and The Penguin, have both shut down production indefinitely due to the writers' strike. We've said before, more and more things that are in production are going to start shutting down. If it's a scene's not working and they have to figure out how to make it work, can't do that without a writer.
So SAG-AFTRA, I thought, was going to also join the strike. Did they not at this point?
Well, they approved a strike if negotiations stall out.
Oh,
They
okay,
are
that's what
approved
that was.
strike.
Gotcha.
Yes. So, but I believe that they are still in negotiation. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. So it's right now. It's still the writer's strike. Directors Guild, I guess, is voting on their contract. I've seen several people on Twitter saying, "I'm a director and I voted no, and here's why."
Mhm.
So still interesting. Be interesting if that doesn't get approved. I haven't heard really. But yeah, just more stuff shutting down, and I think that's smart. And we knew this when we started talking about the strike. We knew that this wasn't. We knew that a lot of stuff shut down, and there was going to be more things reported that got shut down, or
Right.
moved, or whatever, and that's happening. It's just going to keep happening.
Moved.
Speaking
Moved,
of
you
things
say?
getting, yeah. Speaking of things getting moved, moving into some Marvel stuff, kind of Disney in general. Disney had a huge release date shakeup this week. Lots of stuff got pushed. One thing got moved ahead. Deadpool 3 has been moved up. Originally coming out in November of 2024. Now it's going to be May of 2020. So it's going to be, like a kickoff to the summer release instead of a fall. And that's fine. They're filming that right now. And I guess moving it up might mean that it's not going to shut down. It just seems like we've talked about Deadpool 3 being something that seems like it should be shut down until Ryan Reynolds is allowed to improvise on screen. Who knows? But we also talked about how he could do all those lines in like after the fact.
Yeah, do some ADR on it because he has the mask
ADR.
or whatever.
Because he could be saying anything he wants. So all additional improvisation they're probably shooting this movie knowing like, we'll come up with a better line in ADR later because he's got a mask on. Captain America Brave New World has moved to May 2024 to July 24. That's not a huge pushback. Thunderbolts moved from July 24 to December. Bit of a bigger pushback. Blade moved one more time.
Thunderbolts was a thing, by the way.
I know. I keep forgetting about it too. Hopefully it's one of those things like a pleasant surprise and not just like a, I wish I had forgotten.
Not just like something we're going to talk about later that had a trailer release this month or this week.
Oh my God. Stay tuned. I can't wait till we get to that part of the podcast. Blade moved again from September 24 to February 25. Fantastic Four has been delayed from February 2025 to May 2025. Avengers Kang Dynasty pushed an entire year from May 2nd, 2025 to May 1st, 2026. And Avengers Secret Wars similarly changed from May 26 to May 27.
So you're saying Jonathan Majors isn't going to be president and they need to figure out what the hell they're doing?
Very possibly, I guess. I hadn't thought about that angle. I hadn't thought about that guy. But this is just, I mean, we called this as well. We knew like Marvel, famous for writing movies while they're in production. Like you can't do that during a writer's strike. You just can't. So we knew a lot of these things were going to get moved. And here we are. And I don't know, like, I'm sure I'll still see these movies and I'll be excited about some of them, but I'm getting, like we just talked about in the Flash review that we did, I'm kind of getting sick of multiverse movies. And the whole thing that Marvel's doing right now is called the Multiverse Saga. And we're hearing rumors about Secret Wars being like everyone that's ever played a Marvel hero or whatever coming back for that. Like, are we going to care about this in 2027? I don't know. I'm sure people will, but like Marvel's had diminishing returns lately and it would just keep dragging it out. I don't know. This is going to be interesting to see.
We've got Secret Invasion coming out on Wednesday. And
that's true.
From what I can gather on the initial reviews, it's definitely what Marvel's been putting out lately.
Oh, really? See, I've read both. I've read some initial reactions to I think like critics got like the first 2 episodes of Secret Invasion.
They got 2 for the screeners.
And I read one. I think I've only read 2 reviews now that I'm thinking about it. I think one was like, this is boring, just like,
formulaic.
No stakes. And then I read another one that was like, it's gritty, it's great, it's like exactly what Marvel needs to do to shake things up. So I don't know.
Yeah, so I probably read the first one.
Ding.
Ding. Probably read the first review you talked about, and then also read one that was like, it's trying to be Marvel's Andor and failing miserably.
Ooh, yee. All right. Well, we'll see. Trailers look good,
Yeah.
but we've
I've
all
still
seen
got
good
promise, but
trailers for bad things. Yeah.
this is
Well, I'm
also,
gonna watch it.
remember when I went into the Flash, like I told you, I'm keeping my expectations as low as I possibly can because,
Yeah.
you know, if I go in with zero expectations and no hype, I end up
Yeah.
happy like I did at the end of the Flash.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Mine are definitely lowered after seeing that first review that I read
Yeah.
for Secret Invasion. Speaking of low expectations, Steve and I have not talked about this yet at all. I'm excited to dig into it with him right now. Today, Sony released a trailer for a movie called Kraven the Hunter. It's a movie about a Spider-Man villain. And
Sure it is.
Classic Sony. They're taking a Spider-Man villain and turning them into an anti, a la Venom, a la Morbius. This is Kraven the Hunter. Kraven is a just like a hunter, I guess. Like that's the only way to describe him. He's obsessed with killing Spider-Man. He thinks Spider-Man is like the biggest, the most dangerous game kind of thing. Like he's
Literally was
the
the short that was kind of one of the
Yeah.
introductions to that. So
right.
half brother of the Chameleon.
Yep, half brother of the Chameleon. He's a big character in the comic books. He's been around for a long time. What's the name of the guy that's starring in this movie again?
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, yeah, who's
Formerly
no stranger
Quicksilver?
to formerly Quicksilver, formerly Kick-Ass.
Oh yeah.
Aaron Taylor Johnson. Steve, this movie's rated R. Seems like a hard R. He's stabbing people and biting ears off of people, and
Yeah,
pretty bloody
he
trailer.
is.
Pretty bloody trailer. Steve, what'd you think of this trailer?
You want my one word or like multiple
I
words or
want
what?
as many or as few words as you want to give me. Steve Haller, Kraven the Hunter, hit me.
Does hot garbage sum it up any well?
Yeah, yes.
Like that?
Yes, it does. Yes,
Okay,
it does.
cool.
I think this looks terrible. I think this looks bad.
This may look we're beyond Morbin 2 Electric Boogaloo and into like uncharted territory with how bad this looks. And this is me trying to keep my expectations down.
Yeah. Aaron Taylor Johnson just he's not selling Kraven for me. I like him as an actor. I think he's a good actor.
The first shots looked like Hercules.
Yeah, he doesn't look like Kraven to me.
No. Well, no, it's funny because they're doing the stupid thing that they always do, where if you watch the trailer at the end, he gets the sable and like
he's picking up some vest.
He looks like the thing that makes him look like Kraven the Hunter. That
right.
Sergei Kravenov has been around since time in Spider-Man comics. Like
right.
That's a thing. He has a look to him.
Yeah.
Then you debut this guy that has no look to him.
Yeah, it's almost like he has no look. Like he just looks like a regular dude. He doesn't look interesting at all in this trailer.
Okay, I was just at Saratoga for 2 Grateful Dead shows. I'm pretty sure I saw him somewhere. Like whatever he looks like, there was somebody there that looked like that.
Yeah.
Just a dude in a leather vest. Like, cool.
I was okay with this trailer. I was like, all right, we'll see. I'll see. Until, as a boy, I believe we're supposed to believe that this is his origin story of how he gets some kind of animal power or something that I don't know that he actually has in the comic books.
No, he
I don't
does
think
not.
so, right?
He actually, so in the comics, go with how ridiculous it is, and I'll tell you what the actual is. Yeah.
In this trailer, for those of you who haven't seen it, his father, played by Russell Crowe, total a-hole, wants his sons to be strong and great hunters or whatever, and his son Kraven refuses to kill a lion, so the lion attacks him, and then the dad leaves the son for dead because he's too weak or something. And there's a shot of blood dripping from the lion into one of the wounds of the boy. So, like, are we to assume that Kraven got lion blood inside his blood, and that's what gave him the ability to be a good hunter? Or some connection with animals? The trailer says that he has a connection with animals that helps him seek out his prey.
Sure.
Which is stupid, because in the in the comics, Kraven hunts animals. He doesn't team up with animals. He hunts them.
Yeah, he's a maniacal big game hunter that.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're making him an anti-hero, can't have a maniacal big game hunter going around killing cute animals, and then and then have him be like the hero of the movie. So when I saw that,
if he doesn't want to kill animals, then why would he want to kill Spider-Man?
Great point, Steve. Great point. He seems to have no problem killing people. He just seems to be going on a murder spree
of really bad action scenes.
Yeah, I think this trailer looks terrible. Like,
Yes.
it's been a while before that I've seen a trailer that I was just like, for a property that I would be interested in. Like, I give a lot of leeway to trailers. Like we just said a second ago. Like, we've seen trailers for stuff that, I thought the trailer for Morbius looked good, right?
Yeah, kind of did.
All signs pointed to that movie being terrible, and I was like, hey, that trailer looks pretty good. Maybe it's going to be good.
Lo and behold, all the good scenes apparently were in the trailer.
And I don't feel that same positivity for this movie. I think it's going to be terrible. The trailer's terrible,
Yes.
and unless it's a really bad trailer,
right?
I can't see this movie working.
So for the record, too, in the comics, he just takes a serum that gives him his superpowers. It's like
okay, so he is he is an enhanced individual,
right? But like, think, mystical super soldier type.
Sure. Yeah.
That he has to keep taking.
I would prefer that over a accidental dose of lion blood. Also, there's like a scene in the trailer where he's laying there and a bunch of spiders are coming down. Are we supposed to think that they're setting up that he hates spiders and that's why he wants to eventually, not in this movie, but
he's gonna
maybe
go
someday.
He's going to go full indie and say, spiders, why did it have to be spiders? Like, that's going to be a line in the film. Guaranteed.
Oof. This trailer was a big oof.
Yes.
For me.
I will agree with you there.
I mean, I'll be interested to see a second trailer. I can't see this being a movie that you and I make a plan to see together to talk about on this podcast.
I mean, if we go and there's like 0 people there, can we fully like MST3K it?
Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be fun. Maybe we'll do it for that. Speaking of comic book artists, late and great comic book artists, as we were in the beginning of this episode with John Romita Sr.'s passing. As we talked about last week.
Yeah, I think I directly called this one last week.
Yeah, there is a new documentary on Disney called Stan Lee. Out, Stan Lee, comic book writer, comic book co-creator of many a Marvel hero. We saw the trailer for it last week. Steve, have you watched it?
I have not.
No, neither have I. And I mentioned last week how like the trailer didn't really sell it to me. It just it didn't look as an in-depth biography of this man, Stan Lee, as I would want to see. It looked kind of more like a commercial. Yeah. And I haven't read a ton of reviews about it, but from what I have seen about it, it seems like we may have been onto something when we said it last week. And you sent me something that I needed to include in the rundown. A statement from Neal Kirby, son of the late, great, wonderful Jack Kirby, in response to the Stan Lee doc. Now, just in case people don't know, Jack Kirby, probably the most influential comic book artist of all time.
Yeah.
He worked for Marvel and he worked for DC. He is the co-creator of Captain America. He also worked on a bazillion other books with Stan Lee, and including Fantastic Four and a bunch of other. He's the co-creator of a lot of other characters, including like Iron Man. And when he went over to DC, he created the whole Fourth World thing. Mr. Miracle, Darkseid, all that stuff came from Jack Kirby.
Oh, on Marvel, he was what? Hulk, Ant-Man, X-Men.
Yeah, Silver
Thor,
Surfer,
Iron Man, Silver Surfer.
Like, I believe he is the sole creator of Silver Surfer. He's credited as a sole creator.
Then Black Panther as well.
Yep, Black Panther, X-Men, Hulk. Yeah,
anything that happened in that era that wasn't co-created by Ditko and Lee was by Kirby and Lee for the most part.
Yep. Yes. And Steve and I expressed our apprehension about this documentary last week,
Mhm.
wondering how much time is it going to spend talking about Jack Kirby and his influence on these characters, or Steve Ditko and his influence on Spider-Man, or Doctor Strange. And apparently the answer is none,
Right.
according to this statement from Neal Kirby, son of Jack Kirby. I didn't write the entire thing out, so this is just like a
Oh,
couple
it was like
excerpts.
4 note page snippets that were tweeted out. It was a long statement.
Yeah. This is just a couple highlights that I wanted to read on the show. Neal Kirby, son of Jack Kirby, had this to say in response to the Stan Lee doc. Said, "The literary expression of ego is the personal pronoun I. So the challenge is extended to anyone who wishes to count the number of I's during the 86-minute running time of Stan Lee. As a documentary about Stan Lee, most of the narrative is in his voice, literally and figuratively. It's not any secret that there had always been controversy over the parts that were played in the creation and success of Marvel's characters. Stan Lee had the fortunate circumstance to have access to the corporate megaphone and media, and he used these to create his own mythos as to the creation of the Marvel character pantheon. He made himself the voice of Marvel. My father retired from comic books in the early 1980s and, of course, passed away in 1994. Lee had over 35 years of uncontested publicity, much with the backing and blessing of Marvel, as he boosted the Marvel brand as a side effect of boosting himself." So that's not nearly as much as he actually said. He goes on to say he really kind of lingers on the fact that Stan Lee was blessed with a long life, as I just said about John Romita, and he used that life to position himself as the guy that created all these characters. And seldom did he give enough credit to Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko. And later in Stan's life, there were statements that he made about he kind of admitted that, I believe, in a few interviews, like, Jack really did a lot of work on these, and I should have given him more credit or something. But apparently this documentary, there's only a brief mention of Jack Kirby and a brief mention of Steve Ditko, and I think that's dumb. I would love, I don't know, it makes me not want to watch this, which is a bummer, because like both things are true, right? Like Stan Lee, incredible creative mind, and Marvel owes him so much. And yes, he is a co-creator of all these characters, and he is a foundational person in the genre of comic books, let alone just Marvel characters. Yes, that is true. Also, he kind of stole the spotlight for himself and didn't give credit to the people that helped him create these characters. Like, both those things are true, and he can be celebrated and criticized at the same time. There's a great in this statement at one point, Neal compares the relationship to Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. He says, like, the guy that commissioned in whatever 1,000 years ago or whatever, the guy that commissioned Michelangelo to carve a statue of David, it's not called that guy's statue of David. It's called Michelangelo's David, because he's the artist. Like, yes, that guy had the idea, but Michelangelo did it.
Yeah.
And and he gets the credit for it because he's the one that did it. Like, Stan Lee had the idea for these characters, but Jack Kirby is the one that drew them, created them, cemented them visually into the minds of millions of Americans. And it's a bummer that he's not getting his just rewards there.
I mean, it's a lot of the standard. I mean, we've talked about it time and again, where a writer gets the complete credit for a story. Like, you refer to Claremont's X-Men, not like Claremont and Lee, or I mean, people deeper in it do, but like people don't credit the artists enough for what they do.
And that happens today too. I try to be good about it, but it's a lot of people, Tom King's Mr. Miracle is great. Well, like, Tom King and Mitch Gerard's Mr. Miracle is great. Yeah, of course. But yeah, so that's that. If you're out there and you have watched the Stan Lee documentary, let us know what you think. Was it good? Was it worth watching? Was it a waste of time? What do you think?
Yeah.
Moving from Marvel into DC, a confirmation of something that was heavily rumored, and we talked about it last week. Andy Muscietti has been confirmed as the director of The Brave and the Bold. This will be a Batman and Robin movie and part of James Gunn and Peter Safran's DCU universe. We are years away from this movie happening, but they already have a director. A statement from James Gunn said, "We saw The Flash even before taking the reins at DC Studios and knew we were in the hands of not only a visionary director, but a massive DC fan. Magnificent film, funny, emotional, thrilling, and Andy's affinity and passion for these characters and this world just resonates through every frame. So when it came time to find a director for The Brave and the Bold, there was really only one." And I've seen people that didn't like The Flash kind of dunking on this idea and saying it's a terrible idea, but that's only because they didn't like The Flash. I love The Flash, so I'm very excited by this. I think the look of The Flash is big and bright and fast and very comic booky. And I think if you want a director that can do that for a Batman and Robin movie, especially Batman and Robin movie that has to look and feel radically different from Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson's version of Batman, that's going to be still in a pocket universe over on the side, I think Andy Muschietti is a good choice.
Yeah.
I'll be
No,
very. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say. I mean, the general feel of the Flash, I feel, because that's the only major work I've seen by Muschietti at this point.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it.
Oh, okay.
Not that one.
Yeah.
But from what it feels, him working with Gunn could turn into something special.
Yeah, I think
like
so.
there's a lot of similar through lines. Yes, there's a very different take on some things, but it had the feel of something that could be developed even more so with a relationship with Gunn and Safran likely.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll be, obviously a director's only a piece of the puzzle. I'll be very interested to see like when this movie gets a writer, or when, we're a long way away from casting, but all that stuff will come together, because I feel like it is a very different movie than The Flash. So who knows if Brave and the Bold can even be a third tone, or a different movie other than those two as well. So I am down for that. Speaking of James Gunn and his approach to the DC universe, James Gunn appeared on a podcast this past week, a podcast called Inside of You. It's a podcast, long-running podcast hosted by Michael Rosenbaum, who's a longtime friend of Gunn. Michael Rosenbaum is also an actor who himself no stranger to comic book universes, especially the DCU, where he played Lex Luthor on Smallville for 1 million seasons. He also voices the Flash in like the animated Justice League show, or his appearance in like Superman the Animated Series, all that early DC animated universe stuff as Michael Rosenbaum as the Flash. He also plays a small role in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and 3. What's that, like he's a Ravager and he's like made of like crystals or ice or something?
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
What the hell's the name?
I don't know his name, but that's Michael. That's Michael.
Yeah,
Rosenbaum.
I know the guy you're talking about.
Yeah,
his face looks familiar too.
Yeah, and he's a longtime friend of James Gunn, so James Gunn agreed to be on his podcast. It's an 1.5-hour interview, long form interview. I was very excited to see that it was out there, knowing that he was going to talk a lot about his outlook for DC and his work in general. And again, I didn't transpose the entire podcast, but I did write down some quotes and some facts that I thought were very interesting. Just apparently, I was always very curious as to how he got the job of being how he and Peter Safran got the job. Was it offered to him? He go and pitch himself? Apparently, Warner Brothers came to him early on and asked him, just him, if he wanted the job, and he said no because he was turned off by like the business side of things. They also went to Peter Safran alone and asked Peter if he wanted to do both things, and he said no, I don't really want to do it. Then later they came back to both of them, and so it was Warner Brothers' idea to have them co-run DC Studios, which I thought was interesting. At one point, Michael Rosenbaum asked James Gunn, he said something like, a lot of your movies whether it's Guardians or Suicide Squad, they're about very flawed characters. How do you handle a character like Superman, who does not have any flaws and is basically a god? And James Gunn's answer was, well, all characters have flaws. It's not as if he's not flawed, but he's not flawed in the same way that, say, Peter Quill is flawed. Peter Quill is a mess. Peter Quill isn't flawed in the same way that Rocket Raccoon is flawed. Rocket is a real mess. These are really deeply injured characters, and Superman is just different. So I like that response, is that he is finding, because that's a big, people that don't read Superman comic books often complain about Superman being boring because he's too powerful and he doesn't have any weaknesses and doesn't have any flaws. Well, James Gunn found some flaws. I'm sure this quote, he's referring to things other than kryptonite. So he also talked about wanting to create an aesthetic for a Superman movie that hasn't really been seen before. So that makes me excited as well to see what he's coming up with over there. He was asked about, I guess remember, I'm not sure how they started talking about this, but he started saying that he posted something on Twitter about how he was reading an Alan Moore's run of his book called Wildcats. Someone asked him, are you reading this for professional reasons, or are you reading this for pleasure? And he said he didn't respond to the Twitter post, but he thought about it, and he said, everything I do is for both of those things. I look for inspiration. I look for new ways of handling superheroes and sci-fi. I look for characters that we can use in the DCU in different ways. But it's also for pleasure because I just like reading comic books. I read some comic book runs that I'm not a great fan of that may be more specific to what our story might be in the DCU. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
That he's not just modeling the DCU after his own taste in storylines. Like, he's going for what's out there and what makes sense to bring on board, even if he doesn't really love the source material, which I think is interesting. And I like that. He's looking like outside of his own opinions. There was a good section. They both were talking about the glut of superhero movies and shows, and James Gunn says he agrees that there's way too many superhero shows and movies. And he said, well, we're not going to overextend ourselves at DC. We're going to be very careful with the product that we put out and make sure that everything is as good as it can possibly be. People have gotten lazy about their superhero stories. They aren't thinking about why this story is special and what makes it stand out or fill a need for people. They've gotten too generic. There's this middle of the road tone that too many superhero movies have. I like to see different types of stories. And he references, I like to see lighter tales. I like to see darker tales. I like to see like murder mysteries, like, saying all that can be in a, superhero setting. But he said it's also not just superhero movies. It's spectacle films in general. They've gotten boring. They're not about characters and there's no emotion to them. The stakes should matter. And I think I tend to agree with that.
We've talked about that numerous times.
We have. And, we do talk about it in superhero movies because
that's what we're getting and talking about.
That's what we're getting into. And also
we have a podcast about those. You know that, right?
True. We sure do. But also I feel like that's almost the majority of action movies that get made and released in theaters. Like, I guess like Netflix makes some action movies like Extraction, but as far as like theatrical releases, a lot of the action movies are superhero movies.
Yeah.
But then you think about, I've never seen a Fast and the Furious movie, but those movies look insane, and I don't feel like they don't seem like they have any stakes to them at all, because I feel like the cast just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and nobody dies and everyone keeps coming back. So I agree with that as well. And he was very good about not saying anything that was a specific shot at Marvel, but he's talking about how there's too many, and it's not like DC has made as many as Marvel has in the last 15 years. So I think he was kind of talking about it without talking about it. As far as Superman Legacy casting, he said something interesting, which he said, now that we've kind of done a lot of auditions, we're narrowing it down. We're not done yet. But by the way, there's a lot of stories out there about who we're auditioning and all these secret tests. I'm just saying it's not all true. That's for sure. There's things out there that are completely false, but I can't go out there and say, oh, this isn't true and this isn't true without going through everything. Right now, it's nobody's business who is screen testing for a role. Journalists have to do what they have to do. That's their job. They're trying to get hits. But they find out some things from agencies, but here's the problem. is that they find out things from agencies that might be true. They find out other things that are just agencies pushing their own clients. So there's a lot of nonsense that comes out of this, and that's that's difficult because there's people out there that are supposedly testing that aren't, which must be difficult for them as people. I think it should be a private thing between me and them. So maybe showing a little bit of frustration with the supposed leaks and rumors that are out there. And I feel like, when he was really going on Twitter saying this is right, this is not, this is right, this is not, like clearly he's invested in making sure people know what's really happening or what's not really happening. So I get that it's bugging him, but interesting that he's saying there's things out there that are completely false. And so I think about like David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan and all these rumors that you and I have talked about recently, wondering how much of that is true.
Right.
We're reading these same six actors' names over and over again, and they could announce Superman at Comic-Con next month, and it could be someone we've never heard of before.
Yeah.
Because like he said a million times, never believe anything unless it comes from me or from Peter, and those names certainly haven't. Two last interesting things he said. He's talking about Superman Legacy being the first official DCU film, but then he corrected himself. So he said, well, Blue Beetle is the first DCU character. First DCU film is Superman Legacy. And he kind of said it as a passing thing, but that's kind of a big deal. He's stating right there, Blue Beetle is a DCU character that will continue in his universe, going beyond
that's
the
one of
movie
the first confirmations we've got like that.
Yeah. Because, a lot of people looking at movies like The Flash or Shazam 2 or Aquaman 2 as being like these lame duck movies that don't matter. And I feel like they should start pushing that a little bit. Give Blue Beetle a bit of a shot in the arm. Like, if you like this, you will see more of it. There's plans for this character. So get invested now. Last thing he said that I was curious about, Michael Rosenbaum asked him if Peacemaker 2 was still happening. He said that, yes, it's absolutely still happening, and it's the next thing he's going to do after Superman Legacy is done. So we got a few years for Peacemaker Season 2, but Waller, the show about Amanda Waller, is coming out before that, which has a lot of the same character, which I guess makes sense. And I keep forgetting that Waller's happening.
Yeah, same.
I feel like we don't get any news on it, but I'm definitely interested in it, although... so that was good news, but also, unfortunately, he did say that he's currently has no plans to make a sequel to my much beloved The Suicide Squad. But also, we're getting Peacemaker Season 2, and we're getting Waller. We're definitely going to get some more of those characters.
Yeah, that's something they could always change as that develops, and
yeah,
they flesh characters out in the universe more, and then it's like, all right, well, let's find something for these guys to do.
Yeah. And I did think, like, they make a point in the Suicide Squad about saying that Bloodsport, Idris Elba's character, is in prison for trying to kill Superman. Maybe there's a good Superman villain for you right there, or Superman cameo, someone that we could easily see again. Yeah. Cool. So you can check out that entire interview. Like I said, they talk about more than just DC stuff, more than just superhero stuff. His life, his career. Apparently, he was about to quit. He was ready to quit directing before he got Guardians of the Galaxy. He was very frustrated with the industry and he was going to give up. That was very interesting. So check it out. It's a good interview. This week in your local comic book store, you can find Arcade Kings #2, Avengers #2, Batgirls #19, Batman Superman World's Finest #16, Black Adam #12, Bone Orchard Tenement #1, Catwoman #56, Cyborg #2, Danny Ketch Ghost Rider #2, Edge of Spider-Verse #3, Godzilla Here Be the Dragons #1, Hallows Eve #4. Yeah, you getting a raised eyebrow at that Godzilla title, huh?
Yeah.
Oh no, did I even say that? Here There Be Dragons? Did I say that?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think you said Here Be the Dragons.
Here Be the Dragons. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, no, it's
tell
Godzilla.
Which is the weirder title.
Yeah. Here There Be Dragons. That's more of a mouthful.
Yeah.
Anyway, I Hate Fairyland #6, Incredible Hulk #1, new #1 for Incredible Hulk. Jump on, people. King Spawn #23, Miles Morales Spider-Man #7, Nightwing #105, Rogue Sun #13, Saga #65, Scarlet Witch Annual #1, Star Wars Bounty Hunters, number 35. Superboy, Man of Tomorrow, number 3. Superman, number 5. Titans, number 2. Ultimate Invasion, number 1. Venom, number 21. Victory, number 1. And, excuse me, anniversary issue, Wonder Woman. Not an anniversary issue, sorry. Landmark issue, Wonder Woman, number 800. I think that's a anthology kind of story, and I believe one of them introduces the first appearance of Trinity, Wonder Woman's daughter. So I'll be excited to pick that up and check it out.
So I have a question for you on the Incredible Hulk stuff.
Okay, I don't know much about it.
Well, since he's a DC guy, Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Ooh, that name is familiar.
He did a lot of the Dawn of DC stuff, it looks like. Dark Crisis, Green Lantern.
Oh, I like the Green Lantern Dawn of DC book. I read the first issue of it. I thought was good.
He had a bunch of like Marvel Comics, Extreme Carnage type stuff too. So
yeah,
he's currently on Green Lantern. It looks like 23 to present.
Yeah. Green Lantern's good. The new one's pretty good.
So
I'm not.
What is this? Is Marvel and DC just signing each other up for? Like, if this guy's going to be running Hulk and Lantern, like,
well, I mean,
all of your great superheroes are in one bucket.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, not every contract is an exclusive contract, you know.
Oh yeah, but it's like, I don't know. It just seems like it's happened a lot more recently than it has in the past.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I don't know anything. I didn't even realize they were rebooting Hulk, but I honestly might pick that up. I like Hulk a lot, and if it's a new number 1, if it's a good jumping on point, then I'm sold. As long as it doesn't pick up with like, so here's all my lore that you've never heard of from the past 10 years. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you read anything this week or buy anything this week?
No, I haven't had time to even think this week. So.
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. So sorry. After we saw The Flash, I went to Funky Town Comics and bought a copy of Flashpoint.
There you go.
Because I didn't own that. Now I do. I also picked up Volume 1 of Human Target.
Oh, nice. That came out in trade?
Yep, came out in trade. I know there's a second part coming out, but this was just a wonderful hardcover. It's gorgeous. I couldn't say no to it, so I picked that up as well. Got some couple one-shots for you to end the night. This first one, actually, they're both very surprising for me.
Yeah, I'd agree.
For different reasons. First one is like something that I can't believe is happening, really. It's just like, I haven't watched every episode of Superman and Lois. I've seen the first season. I'm into the second season, and I like it very much. But it's about to head into its 4th season of production, and Superman and Lois has lost its entire supporting cast. Like all the series regulars, with the exception of the main 4 cast members, Tyler Hoechlin, who plays Superman. I'm forgetting the other names of Lois and the 2 sons. With the exception of those 4 cast members, all series regulars have been let go from their contracts. This is due to budget cuts, I guess, at Max. Still trying to cut that $3 billion or whatever Zaslav had to do when he took the job. Still working on it. And apparently this was the cost of getting another season. It was this or not be able to continue the show. So I guess, I mean, it can't mean that they're not going to interact with any other actors in the show. It's going to have more than 4 cast members.
This is now Superman, A Quiet Place.
Yeah, right. Or who knows? I guess I don't know how season 3 ended. So maybe they're trapped in a mine together, or
and that's the entirety of season 4.
Yeah, the whole season is a bottle episode, a bottle season.
Yeah,
it just takes place in one location.
Yeah, they're
so
going
that's
full
weird,
Future
and that's
Foundation and like off into different realms and universes, and
yeah, maybe. But no, my guess is that they'll hire some less expensive new series regulars, at least for season 4. But that's a bummer. Especially, I feel like if there's any show that I loved watching that all of a sudden lost most of its supporting cast, I would be like, what is happening? This is a different show. It'll be interesting to see if they can pull it off. Yeah.
Let's see, because that seems above and beyond.
Yeah, it does. It's going to be very.
Yeah. Other things that seem above and beyond are the egregious not bringing back Zazie Beetz as Domino for Deadpool 3.
Egregious is a great word, I think.
Yeah.
Perfectly said.
So she had an interview where asked about her involvement. She said, "Well, I'm not actually in Deadpool 3, but I'm excited to watch it."
I think the article that this came from didn't say what the interviewer's question was, but the fact that she said, "Well," makes me think that the interviewer asked it in a way where they were just assuming she
Right.
wasn't.
It's like, so how's Deadpool 3 going to be?
Yeah, exactly. When do you start shooting on Deadpool 3 or something like that?
Well, I'm not in it. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Because she was great.
Oh, absolutely. She was phenomenal in it.
Yeah, and she's a great actor. She's a great actor. I love her and everything that I've seen her in. And yeah, Domino's such a cool character.
Yeah. No. And that's, I mean, her take on it was a different take on Domino than we've seen.
Yep. Yeah.
And it was great.
I agree.
It was a very fresh take on it. And I really wish she was coming back for this movie.
I know, like you got room for everybody else. You got room for Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead. You don't have room for Domino? Come on.
Right. Even if it was just a cameo or quick something or other, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I get Wolverine's Wolverine's his sidekick now, apparently.
Yeah,
Unless we're all being thrown off and Hugh Jackman's just a giant marketing ploy.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm seeing like rumors again. We didn't talk about it because it's just rumors, and it's saying that Deadpool 3 is going to be this like multiverse nostalgia fest of a movie, but with like the Fox X-Men universe, like the No Way Home of the Fox X-Men universe. Okay,
sure.
Great. I guess.
It'll
We'll
be
see.
better because Deadpool's in it, but beyond that, don't do this to me.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like technically right now, Deadpool is they're in the same universe until this movie comes out. Like we haven't seen Deadpool cross to the MCU yet, so it wouldn't necessarily be a tough sell, or like like we were talking about on our Flash episode, like certain movies jump through a lot of hoops to get the setup. Like they don't have to really jump through those hoops because technically they're just already existing in the same universe. So anyway, weird, not great. And sorry to end the show on a bummer, but that's the show. That's it. That's all we got. That's all I got.
Twas.
Unless you got anything else.
No, I've got nothing else. Only thing I've got is telling you how to get a hold of us. I believe that's my standard job.
It is your standard job.
So feel free to get a hold of us on social at the Multiverse Report, Multiverse RPT on Twitter. If you would like to send us an email, because long form communications are still a thing, send us something at themultiversereport@gmail.com. Otherwise, feel free to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or YouTube or wherever you can leave a review. If we can find it, we'll read it out for you. And
yeah, that'd be great.
We'll I guess that's all I got.
If it's all you got, then it's all I got. So until next time, thanks for watching and thanks for listening. We'll see you in the multiverse.